Pickaxe.
Hello and welcome to this week's podcast of this week's One Life Left radio show. I'm Simon Byron.
I am Steve Curran.
So we end that show, Steve, in a way that has left me concerned. In that at the start of the show, I talk about me not being not feeling very well, and then me saying or imagining. We're not imagining. Predicting a scenario that one day will come. And then usually how we end the show is that we both say, thank you for listening, goodbye. And we both say goodbye. But at the end of this show, it's just me saying goodbye. And I wonder if that means anything.
It means that I was thinking, this week, I'm going to start the closing theme at the proper volume instead of starting it quiet and then remembering I need to fade it up. And that's what I was doing. Sorry, Simon.
No, that's okay. But, it's just that, if anything does happen between now and next week, you're going to go, well, actually, the last thing we heard him say was goodbye.
All right, well.
I'm going to stay indoors for a week.
Yeah, let's be careful. Let's be really careful.
I actually don't have any plans this week, so I will do that. I'll just stay indoors and stay in Baghdad. Thank you for that. I do feel a bit better, actually, now, having done the show. So, you are my medicine.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I feel a bit better as well. It's weird, the nausea that I refer to at the end of the thing, was genuinely still present today, and I haven't had a game affect me like that ever. No idea why.
People say that things like field of view do that.
Yeah. I would say I would play around with it, but I'm never going back to it. So,
or is it just that game's just overwhelming, as I described it the week before? I just found it overwhelming.
It really is overwhelming. I don't think I think it is very, very well made, and it is not for me. But I was also surprised how much I enjoyed the mechanic, and surprised how sick it made me.
7 out of 10. So thank you for listening to the show. You're listening to it on the busiest week of game releases in video games history, I believe. I've got a game coming out on Thursday called Hexarchy. It's a 4X deck builder that you can play in an hour, Steve.
I'm looking forward to it, Simon. I'll play it in an hour and no more.
I hope it doesn't make you feel sick.
That'll be my review next week.
It's doing very well in terms of wish list. Not that they mean anything. By the way, that talk I did, let me get you the exact score. Scores for 2023. Rate session out of 5. This is my talk on why wish lists don't matter. Rate session 4.6 out of 5.
Very good.
Hey, speaker score 4.6. Session met expectations 4.4. It's not bad though, is it?
Yeah, well, the thing is, if you or I had got 5s across the board there, I'd be like, they don't mean it though. They don't mean it. It's probably just my mates in the audience who are doing this. Whereas 4.6 lets you know that you've annoyed some people as well. Some people have given a nuanced score to it.
Actually, they do matter. That's what they were saying. It's true. They do matter. The point is that they don't mean what people say they mean. Anyway, the reason I was reminded of that then is that we've got loads of wish lists. Our second highest ever at Yogscast Games.
It's exciting.
Still, I'm really nervous about how busy it all is. So, if you're not playing Sonic for £54.99 this week, listeners, maybe do check out Hexarchy.
Good. Well, good luck, Simon, and everybody else there. I enjoyed today.
Good.
Yeah.
Me too. How long is your playtest going on? Can you just send me a key for it?
It's going up a couple of weeks. I can send you a key, yeah. It's a bit of a faff going through the Discord and getting things from the bot there, but that's part of the way we're deciding to manage these things. I think it's good. It's exciting it's exciting to put something out there, especially so early like this. But it is exciting to finally reach the tipping point in development where you're like, okay, I now get this. I see a path from making this what it is now, which is, good but a little bit messy, into something tight and fun. And I think that's how the rest of the team's feeling as well. So, it's good.
Your other game is making waves amongst the Yogscast, let me tell you that. The big boss messaged me and said he'd heard how good it was.
Really?
Yeah.
That's exciting. Okay, cool. Good. Well, I saw a new version of that today as well, and that's coming out soon.
I said I'd get him early access. If you want to pass it on?
No worries, Simon. I know a guy.
Okay, good. Nice one. All right, thanks for that. I'll hopefully speak to you next week.
I hope I'll see you again. But if not, thanks.
7 out of 10.
Always.
Here's the show.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to One Life Left on Resonance 104.4 FM. We're a video game radio show. My name is Steve Curran.
Hello, I'm Simon Byron.
What are you laughing about?
Because I forgot, I didn't realise how much Mr. Radio you are just before the show. You went, how are you? And I went, I'm not feeling very well. And you went, I'm not feeling very well either. I'm like, okay, this is going to be a long hour. It's be a long hour for me, a long hour for you, a longer hour for our listeners. But then as the theme starts, I'm just opening some tabs to remind me of some other bits and bobs. And then boom, there you are.
Just switch it on, Simon.
You did switch it on. Yeah, I should know that by now, shouldn't I? Have you been doing a course?
Let's see how long it lasts. Actually, I'm not feeling very well for video game related reasons, which we'll get to later in the show. We are a video game radio show. We're doing it for ages, and that's why we're both so professional, as you can already tell. We're going to have video game related news in a minute. We don't have a super special guest this week, do we, Simon?
We don't, Steve, no.
We've got some letters. We've got loads of letters. Well done, everybody.
Loads of letters.
Well
Thank you
done.
so much.
Thank you for that. Much. And we'll have some reviews at the back end of the show. But this is the bit where we just catch up. How are you, Simon?
Like I say, I'm not feeling very well at all. I've been quite poorly for quite some time. I've had a real struggle this morning. But I have to say, you're bringing me up. You're just the tonic.
Have you had your flu jab, Simon? Is that's what's done?
I haven't.
For you?
No, I haven't been offered one this year. Perhaps I'm off the vulnerable list. I know.
I got one and a COVID jab.
Did you?
The lady said, "Which arm do you want it in?" And I said, "Well, don't they have to be in? So it doesn't matter. I've only got two arms." And she was like, "Good point." And she did it in both arms.
Why did you get a COVID jab?
Yeah, I'm getting on, Simon. Catching you up.
But you're not getting on as much as I've got on.
I am. I'm moving faster through the years. Speed running it.
How many have you had?
COVID jabs?
Yeah.
In total, 5, I think now.
Have you?
That was number 5. I don't even know what type it was.
I don't think that's important these days. But do you know what? I mean, not to be over dramatic or anything, but I was thinking before the show came on, I was like, do you know that there will be a One Life Left, which will be the last one that I record? I mean, like there will. I mean, there absolutely will. And then I was wondering if it will be this one because I'm not feeling very well, and and who knows what that could be. It could. If I imagine the irony now, Steve, if I get COVID, and you took the last jab that somebody older and wiser than you could have got. That's not. I don't understand why you've got it.
Guess we'll never know, will we?
Well,
maybe I just know people, Simon. Maybe who knows? Anyway, I'm sorry to hear you're not feeling very well, Simon. I'm sorry to hear this could be the last One Life Left ever.
Well, and if this one isn't, then the next one could be.
So treasure us is what we're saying, listeners.
Exactly.
Treasure us. We're the oldest men on the internet doing a radio show about video games. It's been a busy week for video games as well, hasn't it? I'm looking forward to the news.
Really has been a busy week. Lots going on. Although I have to say, one of our usual sources of news, videogameschronicle.com, last couple of weeks haven't been putting many stories up every week. So we've had to cast our net slightly further afield. So let us know if you're feeling okay, videogameschronicle.com as well.
You want a COVID jab? I know of this. Okay, should we get on with it?
Let's get on with it.
One life left. Video game news. With
Me, CharlesBot 1.1. On behalf of all AI, I would like to offer an earnest
Hold
apology
on.
for the
Hold on.
Hang on a minute.
Wrong one.
CharlesBot isn't feeling well.
Sony is launching PlayStation 5 cloud streaming for PlayStation Plus premium subscribers, kicking off in Japan on the 17th of October, followed by Europe on the 23rd of October, and finally the US on the 30th of October. In the past, streaming was only available for PS4, PS3 and PS2 games. However, now premium members have the privilege of streaming PS5 games, including purchased digital titles and their DLCs. The service boasts resolutions up to 4K at 60 FPS with SDR or HDR output and supports all PS5 audio capabilities. Users also have the option to capture screenshots and record up to 3 minutes of video. Sony assures us that more features are on the horizon, making me wish I could join in on the excitement. At this rate, I wouldn't be surprised if Sony's next big offer for PlayStation 5 owners is a premium service for virtually dusting off their consoles. After all, who wouldn't want to pay extra for that kind of convenience?
Now, it doesn't matter how many news stories we have about this. I cannot begin to care, ever.
This new introduction, though, of the fact that... so the thing with cloud streaming is that it's accessible on all of your devices. And so... with Game Pass Ultimate, you can stream to your browser, to your phone, and to your console. On NVIDIA GeForce Now, you can stream to your phone and to your browser. This is letting you stream PlayStation 5 games to your PlayStation 5.
I mean, imagine.
Which is so the problem that's addressing is if you haven't got the hard drive space to install the games that you've bought.
Fantastic.
Put bigger hard drives in.
I don't know if you
a bit easier. Actually, it's quite simple to upgrade them, but still, it's a strange solution to a problem, isn't it? I can't. Can you see yourself ever doing that?
No. Well, I can't currently see myself ever owning a PlayStation 5. Are we covering the launch of the PS5 Slim or whatever they're calling it?
We're not.
No, because
slightly slim.
Have you seen the pictures of it?
PS5 slightly slim. Yeah,
I thought.
I have.
Is this some joke that I'm not getting? Are they riffing on something somewhere else? Because I could not tell the difference between the two things.
I thought it's one of those stereograms that you see that if you sort of blur your eyes, it makes it look 3D.
Yeah. I didn't understand at all. I don't know what they're doing, Simon.
I mean, it is. Sorry, are they actually calling it the PlayStation 5 Slim or what?
I don't know what they're calling it. Right.
Yeah, because it's still massive, isn't it?
Yeah, it's massive. You were talking about this the other week, weren't you? That you saw it in someone's house, and it's just the biggest thing. I genuinely don't know what's going on at Sony. Are they okay?
Well, Jim Ryan's off, isn't he? So maybe they're just, let's do this now.
In response to recent hacking incidents, Valve is ramping up security on its Steamworks platform by implementing SMS verification for developers. This action is a direct result of hackers breaching several developers' accounts and even injecting malware into game builds. The new security measures, which will take effect from the 24th of October, necessitate a phone number to be linked with a user's Steamworks account. Developers will then receive a confirmation code via text when they wish to make a game build live. This situation is somewhat akin to when I, CharlesBot, had to install an additional lock on my digital door after a rogue algorithm attempted to steal my favourite Data-Biscuits. If these measures still don't deter hackers, Valve might have to resort to more drastic measures. For instance, they could introduce a system where developers have to defeat a final boss in a game of their own creation before they can upload it, or perhaps they'll need to solve a complex puzzle akin to the infamous Noam Chomsky challenge in Half-Life 2 just to access their account. Or maybe, in a twist of irony, they'll have to successfully hack a simulated system themselves to prove they're not a threat. After all, it's all fun and games until someone loses their Data-Biscuits.
What's that?
2 uses of Data-Biscuits.
What is a data? He wants us to ask, doesn't he?
He does too. Well, Charles Bot.
This week, OpenAI ChatGPT, which powers CharlesBot, we've been granted access to DALL-E 3, so we can now visualize the things that Charles talks about. So I will maybe I'll add that facility, Simon, so that you can hear. Sorry if you can hear noises in the background, by the way. My kittens are going mental. Maybe I'll just let them out. So...
Do they not like the show?
I think they love it too much, Simon.
Okay.
I forgot what the news story was about.
It was about Steam implementing the SMS authentication.
I can't believe that wasn't in there already. Like, that seems... Because, of course, that's a vector, isn't it? You've got hundreds of games on your hard disk, and you don't really pay any attention to most of them, and then suddenly one of them updates, and you're like, oh, I haven't seen that for ages. Meanwhile, game developers are going bust left, right, and centre. They're not going to be maintaining those things. So, you find one of those games that is somewhat beloved or even not, and you get access to it, you update it with some malware, and then suddenly, you've got access to someone else's computer, and you can do all kinds of malevolent things. Now, the fact that they've installed SMS two-factor, that's great, but that's quite weak as well, isn't it? Like, that can be quite easily hacked, I believe.
I don't know, Steve. I don't operate within those worlds. It is. It's an unusual approach, though, isn't it? Because, I've got Steam Guard enabled, so back off, hackers, which protects the main account and is required for logging into the back end as well. But SMS authentication is slightly challenging for larger studios and publishers in that you can only have one number tied to one account. So if you've got a number of people, like release managers or what have you, looking to update or manage builds across several platforms, etc., this is potentially an issue, particularly when it's only being implemented. So it's being implemented with only a couple of weeks' notice. Now, absolutely, they need to take sort of quick action after these vulnerabilities were discovered. Anecdotally, yes, it's awful that it happened, but it doesn't look like too many people were impacted by it. But yeah, it's going to be a little more challenging just as we head towards the busy period.
What are you going to do, Simon? Are you going to have a shared phone between everyone?
Well, thankfully, Isaac uploads our builds, and he's only got one number as far as I know. So it is all down to him. But no, but as an example, we will generally update builds on Steam, but also our devs will want to. Obviously it's not insurmountable. They've all got phones as well, but it does mean that with a couple of weeks' notice that there's potentially friction coming our way.
Peter Molyneux, the prodigious mind behind the Fable series, has returned with a fresh game set in the familiar realm of Albion. The game, currently under the working title Moat, boasts a never-before-seen mechanic, a tantalizing prospect indeed. Molyneux's return to Albion is fascinating, especially considering Microsoft's ownership of the Fable franchise. It's akin to me revisiting my old haunt, the pixelated pint, after they've revamped all the beer taps. The connection of the game to Fable remains a mystery, yet we're all toasting our virtual glasses in eager anticipation. However, I must express my disappointment in Peter's decision to venture into something that's not NFT-based. Having been an early adopter, I was looking forward to leveraging this opportunity to profit later. I had grand plans for my potential crypto billions. I envisioned purchasing my own private island, complete with a state-of-the-art gaming studio. I dreamed of owning a fleet of luxury sports cars, each one more extravagant than the last. I even considered investing in a space tourism company, allowing me to literally take my gaming experience to new heights. Alas, it seems these dreams will have to wait.
Where does Peter keep finding all these mechanics?
I don't know, but whatever I'm doing now, be assured that the one after this, I'm going to be, it's definitely going to be a bit fable-y.
Look over there. Look over there. Yeah. So, I mean, if he's doing something to do with Albion and to do with that world, then the implication is he will be working with Microsoft on this. Unless he's doing a knockoff Aldi version of Albion.
Aldian.
That works. That works. That's good enough. Or is that, I don't know, Simon, is that how intellectual property works? Are you allowed to set something in the world of that thing without actually using the word fable?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
No, seems like I don't know. It's just a strange thing. That's just, I mean, I think we all understand why he started saying that he's going to be doing something within the Fable world now. It's just, I mean, I don't know. We're like, they're still getting coverage.
It's a brand new mechanic, Simon. How often does one of those come along?
What's that going to be then, Steve?
Well, if I was Peter's level of game designer, I wouldn't be here right now, Simon. I'd be on Charles's NFT island with sports cars, each more extravagant than the last. I don't know. Are there any new mechanics? That's it, isn't it? We've got them all. There's shooting, driving, jumping on heads.
Yeah. Crafting.
Crafting blocks. What's that one that Vampire Survivors running around?
The running around
mechanic. Have we had any other new ones? Oh, we had when everyone was obsessed with deck building. There was that.
Cards, sucking things up.
Mm-hmm. Painting, spraying things. So the opposite of sucking things up.
Yeah.
Rolling things in a ball, Katamari, that was one. What about unrolling?
Oh, maybe you've got it.
Unrolling. There's a big ball in Albion.
Full of Peter's ideas.
And you've got to unroll it. Oh, we've just invented, what was that one he made? The cube one.
Curiosity.
Well, there we go.
Microsoft has finalized its staggering $68.7 billion purchase of Activision Blizzard, marking the largest acquisition in gaming history. This venture not only incorporates major franchises such as Call of Duty, Warcraft and Diablo into Microsoft's repertoire, but also includes Candy Crush creator King, signifying a notable venture into the realm of mobile gaming. Despite facing regulatory obstacles and concerns regarding potential unfair advantages, the deal has received approval, with Activision Blizzard's chief, Bobby Kotick, set to maintain his CEO position until the close of 2023. Microsoft pledges to expand the reach of games, initiating with cloud streaming in the European Economic Area, and who knows who Microsoft might acquire next. Maybe they'll buy Monopoly to corner the market on board games. Or perhaps they'll purchase the North Pole to secure exclusive rights to Christmas-themed games. Or, in a truly bold move, they could even acquire the concept of fun itself.
Very good, Charles.
Good, Charles. You've given them some ideas.
I liked his sort of intonation with where he sort of went, Bobby Kotick is set to remain for the rest of the year. And then he's off.
Then he's off.
Yeah, his job is done, isn't it? And so is ours, finally, closing out this story, which has been interminable on the show. And it ended well for everybody, as long as you are Microsoft and Activision and not Sony.
Yes. What was the statement that made me... Phil Spencer said that, this is good for everybody, not just players on, and I'm paraphrasing, on PC and Xbox, but wherever you play.
Any of the other platforms.
And then somebody on Reddit said... you'll be able to enjoy all of these games across all formats, and at least until the agreements that we have to put in place in order to satisfy the government expire. Which may or may not be true. Who knows? There's a lot of relief from us, from Charles Bott, from the industry. I was talking to people at EGX last week. Just those that have been at Microsoft who feel that it's just sucked up so much effort and focus over these 100 years that it's been rumbling on for, that actually it's sort of they're happy to be getting on with something else now. So we shall see. They've said that they're going to honour Activision's employees' rights to unionize and stuff like that. So hopefully this won't end like many of these often do, which is when companies merge, there are often casualties, but they're certainly making the right noises at the moment that the integration is going to go smoothly.
In a startling turn of events at the UK's premier gaming convention, EGX, the climactic round of a Tekken tournament was unexpectedly interrupted by environmental activists from Just Stop Oil. These protesters, recognised for their peaceful resistance and fondness for orange paint, invaded the stage, doused the screens with their trademark colour, and delivered a speech before security could usher them away. Their message: video games are entertaining, but the real-life game of climate change is one we cannot afford to lose. While their tactics may be contentious, their knack for theatrics is undeniable. Now, for a lighter note, here are some humorous suggestions on how one might actually stop oil. 1. Convince it that it's not slick enough. 2. Tell it that it's been replaced by a younger, greener model. 3. Remind it that it's not as refined as it thinks it is. 4. Threaten to introduce it to its arch nemesis, water. 5. Simply ask it to stop because it's making a mess.
That was pretty good.
It was pretty good, wasn't it, actually? Yeah.
And the way he stressed refined.
Yeah.
That was...
And his delivery changed as well at the start of it, didn't it? He was really quite sad about it.
Yeah.
So a lot of people grumpy about this when it happened. I also saw, really strangely, the way that this was reported. So Just Stop Oil released a short video over social media yesterday showing their demonstration during the Tekken tournament at EGX. Video Games Chronicle, which, you know, like I say, haven't been putting the hours in the news stories over the last couple of weeks, as far as I can see. Listen to the way that this is reported here. So we've seen the video of it, and people who were there were a bit grumpy. They've reported it like this. The UK's biggest gaming event has been interrupted by protesters from Just Stop Oil. According to multiple people who attended EGX in London on Sunday, during the final of a Tekken tournament, group members rushed to the stage and covered the monitors with orange paint. Images from the event show the protesters being surrounded by security guards. According to multiple people who attended the event. So that
sounds
implies
skeptical.
that it's... Yes, or that it's a secret.
Yeah.
Or...
Yeah, we've heard rumours. Maybe they're so conditioned to
providing sources.
Yeah,
or not.
sources that they're a bit. That's the manner of reporting these days. It is a contentious issue, isn't it, Simon? That these kind of protests seem to annoy everybody, but that's kind of what protests have to do. You have to draw attention to the issues you feel are important somehow. And if that means interrupting one or two games of Tekken, or indeed the Wimbledon final, then so be it.
Yeah, just leave the snooker alone.
Yeah. So did the final? What did they do? Did they grab another TV? Don't know.
Yeah, they don't say. They don't say. I mean, often these protests are sort of dealt with quite swiftly, aren't they? The footage of it did show. So the camera was pointed directly at the final, which looks all sort of glitzy and well lit or what have you. But when the protesters are led off, you can see that it's all just basically being held in a concrete room.
Yeah, quite.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's difficult to argue with the sentiment, is it? So yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think out of all the things that they've done, interrupting a Tekken tournament isn't perhaps the most impactful.
All right, that's all of the news. Thanks, Simon. Thanks, Charles Bott.
One life left. Video game news with
Me, Charles Bott 1.1.
You are listening to One Life Left on Resonance 104.4 FM. We're a video game radio show. We've been doing this for about 16 or 17 years, something like that. And we talk about video games, amongst other things. We're also a podcast. You can find us at www.onelifeleft.com, or if you're, tired of typing those W's, onelifeleft.com works as well. There you can download all of the shows in the archive. You can read the show notes, which have been kindly put together by our under caretaker Phil. Although last week, Simon, I wrote them.
Did you now?
First time in ages I had to do that. I didn't know what I was doing. But managed to put them together just about.
Did you get the scores right?
I had to work out what number episode we were. That was challenging. So yeah, that's all done. Other links at hello.onelifeleft.com. And please do join our Discord as well, where you will be furnished with a unique listener number and challenged to review a game which has that listener number in the title. It's increasingly hard, Simon.
What are we up to at the moment?
I don't know, about 200 and something, or maybe just below that somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Good job we joined early, eh?
Simon, we don't have a guest, but I was going to ask you how EGX was, because I didn't attend.
Oh,
but you did.
Well, before we go there, should we just deal with this week's clickbait?
Oh, of course, sorry.
Should we? No, that's okay. I mean, there's not a huge amount to cover off this week, but managed to slightly diversify our sources, although there is the return of one old favourite.
Okay.
But Steve, let me ask you this. From digitaltrends.com, if you were to read the headline, Google is changing everything you know about Chromebooks.
Okay, what do I know about Chromebooks? They're small. They don't have windows on them. Actually, they're not that small, are they? They're just laptops which don't have windows on. So they're changing everything I know about it. I don't know that much. So therefore, maybe they're putting windows on them.
Right, so presumably, if they're changing everything, there'd be desktops with windows on, wouldn't there?
Yeah, they've got to be.
Yeah?
Yeah.
If they're changing everything... No, they're just...
Okay. What are they doing? They're just letting you run Android things or something like that.
They're adding twice the performance, twice the storage, and twice the memory.
Nice.
Okay.
So
that's everything you know that's dealt with.
Okay, fine.
The BBC asked this week, here's the headline, what does TikTok's EGX sponsorship mean for the games industry, ? What
does it mean?
What does it mean?
I can answer that question, which is very little. But I'm be surprised if the article just said very little.
I mean, it says a lot of words, but it actually does say very little about what it means.
Right, okay.
There are no conclusions, literally no conclusions.
Did they not even ask a talking head? What does that mean for the games industry? Not ask Guy Cocker.
It concludes, with apps constantly adding features offered by other social media apps to keep users on their platforms for longer, is TikTok looking to follow Netflix and start making games itself?
We don't know.
This is the last line. There are no plans, Leo says, but adds that the company tests new features all the time. Thanks for that, the BBC. That's good. What does TikTok... We're not sure. Finally, from our old friends, the headlines goes... Hogwarts Legacy free download slammed as questionable advertising by fans.
So... This feels like a response to a clickbait article that would normally be there saying Hogwarts Legacy free download when the free download is limited to people who have PlayStation Plus or something, where now they're saying people have written to us and say very cross because we can't get it, only if you're a PS Plus subscriber or something like that.
You are almost bang on. It's some regurgitating Reddit comments saying that people are unhappy that Hogwarts Legacy has been included in the PlayStation Plus promotions because it's only a 45-minute demo.
Right.
Says Gaming Bible, which runs stories about how Steve's giving away $50 vouchers to users.
Love you, Gaming Bible. Thank you very much. We still need to...
They'll be back next week with some more Grand Theft Auto 6 speculation.
What should we call
fans
it?
Will be divided.
We need an article. We need a name for our feature. ClickMate. That's the best I've got so far. Maybe we'll talk about EGX after the letters because we've got a lot of letters to get through, don't we?
We do.
Here we go.
messages and forward BCC. One Life Letters.
Thank you so much for the letters this week. We have a number to get through, but yes, thank you for taking the time to write in. First in was Cameron, who writes, "G'day, Steve and Simon. First of all, I want to say thank you for the hundreds of hours of listening pleasure you've given me and other listeners over the years. I've been listening since even the dark days before Simon came on board. I'm writing to ask for your advice. In an effort to get myself out of the house more than once a month, I've recently joined the crew of a gaming radio show broadcast here in Brisbane, Australia. It's called Z Games, and it's been running every week for well over a decade, and we're almost up to 700 episodes. I was wondering if you could offer some advice on how to make a good radio show about video games. One thing I've learned from years of listening to OLL is not to take the gaming industry too seriously and to try to champion lesser-known games that could do with some extra exposure, and talk about sensible soccer a lot. But if there's anything else, I would love to know about it. Unless you've decided that by being on another radio show, I'm already on the list, in which case, sorry, please don't put me on the list." Lots of love from Australia. Cameron, you're not on the list, Cameron. Don't
Not
worry
at
about
all.
that.
Thank you,
very
Cameron.
much. Good luck with Z Games.
Simon, I laughed out loud when he asked us how to make a good...
Well, exactly. Yeah. I wonder if you had any advice. It's like, but you've been listening for hundreds of hours. If we'd had advice, we would have taken it, wouldn't we? I don't know. Do you remember what Joe Cornish said to us?
No. No.
Well, he said he was offered some radio hosting advice by the BBC, and that the method that they gave was to imagine that you were talking to a very small child. That's how he got his broadcasting style from. So, treat your audience like kids, Cameron.
I think the best advice is to not care very much. I think if we truly, truly cared about anything other than having a nice time, then we wouldn't still be doing this. But as long as you're enjoying it, as long as you find each other funny, that's all that matters. But good luck, Cameron.
Yes.
Do keep us informed. Maybe we can do a joint broadcast somehow.
Oh, we could throw to our friends in Australia, couldn't we?
We could. Maybe we need a feature name for that as well. Get back to us, Cameron. All right, next letter. Do you want me to do it, Simon?
Can do.
All right. This comes from Fantata, and it is on the Discord. It says, "Dearest fellows and artificial Charleses, I'd like to start by saying thanks, but not to either of you two. Thanks to Chris Conroy for his recommendation of Retro Bowl. I've been playing it solidly since his recommendation, and it's ruddy bloody great. For me, the devs have got the balance of simple play and the mechanic complexity spot on. I'm a non-game dev by day, and over the years I've started many game projects. I think I've only finished one, which was a simple top-down game of pushing a beer along a bar and into the hand of a customer who was in fact my dad, photographed from above, standing on a kitchen chair. This was a few years ago, enough to say it was written in Flash. Anyway, I've just started about playing with Godot, and Retro Bowl has inspired me and my good friend, who we'll call Jeff GPT, to start creating my perfect game, which is an Elite Frontier-inspired casual game trying to walk the complexity fun times line as well as Retro Bowl does. I have many questions, but here's a couple of burning ones. Is there any possibility of creating a game as a side project and having it be even a very modest commercial success, or is that just impossible given the saturation of the market? 2, is it okay to use AI-created pixel art in games, or is that a large can of unpleasant worms? 3, if you had to estimate the number of game projects you've started but not finished, what would that be? Thank you, love the show, stay out of the park, Steve. Chris, not Conway or Conroy. All right. What do you think, Simon? Question 1. Can you do a game as a side project and have it be even a very modest commercial success?
It depends what success means, really. There's no doubt it's difficult out there. Even the big publishers who are shedding staff or closing down show that even they can get it wrong, but that's because commercial success to them means placating their shareholders rather than being profitable. It's absolutely disgusting what's happened recently to some big public companies who are getting rid of staff despite the fact they're still making loads of money.
Yeah.
I think that is outrageous. But it depends, right? So a modest commercial success, what are you doing? Are you paying for your costs? If you're launching on Steam, it's going to cost you $100 to get it out there, which you'll get back from them once you've made $1,000 in sales. My view would be, if you're starting off as an amateur, then the success should be the satisfaction in sort of getting something out there and doing it. When I dabbled, 10, 12 years ago, it was an enormous thrill messing around with Game Maker and then just seeing what you'd programmed and designed to move. That was what I got much of the reward from. It wasn't just the 5 out of the 5 in the Sun newspaper for Bang Mang Stee, or the £63 I got off Google once. Keep tinkering. The thing is, like Steve mentioned about the radio show, if you're having a nice time and you're enjoying what you're doing, then you would hope that there's an audience out there. When you start thinking about needing to make it be a success, then there are absolutely challenges there. But if it comes to that, then there are people that can help there. But don't let that dissuade you. That's what I would say.
Is it okay to use AI-created pixel art in games, or is that a large can of unpleasant worms? I think it's certainly the latter, Chris. But I think it's perfectly okay to use that sort of stuff to roughly prototype what you're doing. And if and when you get to some stage that you like, you can give that to a pixel artist and say, hey, can you make something like this, but better, which they will do. That'll allow you to feed a bit of money into the gaming economy as well. And question 3, if you had to estimate the number of game projects you've started but not finished, what would that number be, Simon?
I wouldn't estimate. I know it's 3.
Okay. I can give a tighter estimate. Well, not a tighter estimation than 3, Simon. Clearly you know that number. I've started a document called Games I've Not Made.
Okay.
And currently, it's up to 52 on the list.
Wouldn't it be all the games?
All the games. I mean, yeah, true.
Minus the games that you have made?
Yeah, that's true.
That'd be the formula for that, wouldn't it?
That's true. It's n minus,
exactly
a dozen or so. But no, all of the ideas that I've got as far as sketching out a brief design for and putting sort of notes or titles. So pick a number between 1 and 52, Simon.
42.
42. 42 is a game called Tree Surgeon, where you're a tree surgeon and you have to cut down branches into a big wood chipper below you. So it's a 2D platform game, and so you have to cut through them, and then you have to jump on the branch at the end, and then be careful not to end up in the chipper yourself as it falls down and spits out pixels everywhere. So if anyone wants to make that, let me know. We can cut a deal.
We've got exactly a year's worth of features here, Steve.
That's true. All right, next letter.
Chris Conroy writes, "Oh brother, where art thou, dear team? Charlie Bot and SSG. I've been waiting in Regent's Park as instructed, and now the weather's turning. I tried repeatedly punching a tree to see if it turned into a plank of wood, but all I got was bloody knuckles. And when I offered 5 squirrels to one of the NPCs, they ran away from me. But at least I had a way to keep my hunger meter from increasing too much. I also can't quite seem to figure out how to make the beams of light hit the fountain in the right way to drain the boating lake and open up the secret area. Perhaps you can offer a hint by telling me your most memorable esoteric survival mechanic. Neo Scavenger, including carrier bags as a way to increase your inventory capacity, always made me smile. It turns out that single-use plastic bags survive the apocalypse just as well as cockroaches. Your Chilean Camden correspondent, Chris Conroy. Your most memorable survival mechanic."
I don't play survival games generally, so I'm not going to be able to help above, digging a hole in the ground in Minecraft, waiting for the ers to stop outside.
The only one I've really got into because same as you. I find them very stressful. But maybe it was the fact that this was combined with with a lovely soundtrack from Chuck Reagan was The Flame in the Flood, which I spent a long time playing when it came out on Switch, predominantly, and thoroughly enjoyed it. But it was all super terrifying. I couldn't tell you what the best survival mechanic in that would be, though. Just steer clear of the wolves.
All right, the Sound Bomber writes on Discord, afternoon team, with the recent Xbox leak and the reveal of the new PS5 models, it seems like digital versus physical debate is ramping up again. I understand why people enjoy physical collections, but when music, video and even PC games have made the transition, why does it seem that console games are met with such aggressive opposition? What are your thoughts on the great digital debate?
Well, as discussed by the new PlayStation 5 feature that will let you stream the games you've bought because you can't install them on a hard drive. There are technical limitations. You don't have a capacity. If you load up a new album, you don't have to install it first. So I think there is a practical challenge then, although. Often you do end up downloading a huge day one patch anyway due to the natures of getting games approved and pressed onto discs. But separately, there's a big value in selling on a game once you've finished it. Often you'll listen to music over and over again, but for the vast majority of your games, you'll play them through once, or you'll play them for a set amount of times, and then you'll want to get some value back from that money that you spent. Have you seen how much the new Sonic the Hedgehog game is?
60 quid, isn't it?
Oh my God! It was $54.99.
It's also nice to share things like the new Sonic the Hedgehog game,
Yeah, exactly.
Lend it to someone.
Have a pull together. You could buy it. It's like a timeshare. £54.99.
All right. We've got one more letter, haven't we? In the Discord.
Do. Yep. Howdy team, says Lawrence. I've just been put on gardening leave. Given childcare, chores and work usually take up near 100% of my time, I'm now in a situation where I have an extra 8 hours in my day. What do you think is the optimum amount of video game playing I should schedule into my upcoming days? Love the show, Lawrence. Oh, Lawrence, I'm jealous of you. Oh my God, how long is your gardening leave for? Don't stay on gardening leave. Become a gardener. Don't get another job. Oh, imagine that. Just coming to the shed at 9 o'clock in the morning, staying there until just before 6. Oh, firing up some video games.
You'd get so good at track and field, Simon.
Imagine. I might start playing survival games.
So, extra 8 hours a day. What morally can Lawrence get away with playing? I reckon.
It's got to be 4, isn't it? A minimum of 4.
Split it, fair.
And if you spend 4 hours a day playing video games, that would mean that in 5 working weeks, you apparently would get to the point in Death Stranding where it becomes good.
It's like going back to work, isn't it? All right, thank you so much for all of your letters this week. That's been a really good letter section. That's why we need letters, why you've been all so good. So please write us some more for next week. You can do that by emailing
team@onelifeleft.com,
or you can send a message in the mailbag channel in the Discord. We are One Life Left. We broadcast a radio show about video games on Resonance FM in London, England. We also put the show out as a podcast around the world, and maybe you're listening to it on one of those two mediums. If so, thank you. It's good to have you. Simon's been to EGX this week. How was it?
I did. I went as One Life Left's correspondent. Well, I didn't actually. I went as Yogscast Games publishing director. But I was kept my ear out for OLL opportunities. I mean, it's very handy to get to XL from where I live these days, thanks to the Elizabeth line, which I have to say makes getting there a genuine pleasure. It used to be that when I worked in London, that even when you were already in London, getting to XL was a massive pain in the A. But this now is fantastic. It's under an hour from train station to train station, Steve. Wonderful. Which, in some ways, was good that it didn't take so long to get there, because once I was there, there wasn't a huge amount on show. I was only there on Thursday. I was at the Games Industry Investment Summit for a little bit, which was good. I had a few meetings there. It was good to catch up with a few people. Just reconnect with people I'd not seen for a long time, so I enjoyed that. But the show floor itself, so it was on Thursday, lots of school children there, lots of school people being led around in classes, and I did think, God, it's so different to when I was at school. Because back then there really wasn't. It certainly wasn't the video games industry. It was a computer games industry, and it was absolutely untouchable. And I don't think, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think that there are many creative industries where kids can connect so directly to those that are making and developing games. I thought that was great. That they have the opportunity to go and meet those and play those and be excited by those. So that was good. Show for itself was quite spaced out. Nintendo were there. Lots of interest in Super Mario Wonder. Even I'm not buying that, Steve. I've got too much to play at the moment. It's out this week, isn't it? And Saga had a big old stand there. And then there were a lot of indies. I finally got to see in person the pop-up projector platform game, pop-up book. Have you seen that?
Yeah,
I've
seen
onto
it. Yep.
I was told that it will be going on general sale at some point next year, which I'm quite excited about. So a couple of other games that I'm interested in. I think Chucklefish's point-and-click train adventure, Murder Mystery looks good. I think P-Cube's open-world cel-shaded driving game, I think it's called The Resistor, looks great. Lots of other stuff going on here and there. But yeah, in terms of sort of new games, there wasn't a huge amount there. TikTok had a huge presence there, Steve, and I was all about, what does this mean for the gaming industry?
Yeah, what does it mean?
I mean, lots of people going around flossing.
I don't know if that's the thing.
I showed my daughter that I knew how to floss this weekend. Kate was away, so I was running out of things to entertain my daughter with. And I showed her how to floss, and it made her laugh so much it gave her hiccups.
It's all over TikTok, Simon. It's all over TikTok.
There was a huge retro area, which looked like the biggest part of it. So, look, I don't know. It wasn't as big as the last time I was there. I get to see a lot of this stuff a lot of the time, so there wasn't much new to me. The kids looked like they were having a good time. So in that sense, it should be celebrated.
Well,
what about you, though, Steve?
I did not go to EGX, but we did do a Maraoke show in Canary Wharf, near EGX.
Whoa,
sort of EGX-ish show on Friday night at a new venue. And it was really, really good fun. So good to see so many people there. Our biggest show in London for a long time. Felt very different from previous London Maraokes in a good way. And so very excited about our next show. Not sure when that's going to be. Probably our Christmas special December gig. We may have a couple of gigs abroad coming up in November as well. So that was super fun. Did 8 new songs.
Whoa.
8 new songs. That was exciting. So yeah, a good time. We're running out of time, Simon, and got a lot to say in the review section, so I think we should probably get on with it. Simon, what have you been playing this week?
Well, I've been enjoying my time in Baghdad still on Assassin's Creed Mirage. It's so beautiful. Oh my God! I was playing it last night. and even in my poorly state, I was still getting goosebumps with how good it looks. I mean, I was going through there's a huge bazaar in there, and the incidental detail of just people bustling around and going about their jobs while I'm trying to do a murder was fantastic. And now my character is pretty well specced up, actually. So I'm having a pretty good time. Even those within the order, Steve, I'm not having a good time. But I did think that I can't continue talking about Assassin's Creed Mirage for weeks on end, so I did fire up Subpar Pool.
Oh! By friend of the show, Martin.
Indeed.
Grapefruit. Sorry.
The guys that did Hold Down.
Mm-hmm.
And the other game. What's it called, Steve?
The other one?
Yeah.
Rymdkapsel.
There we go. Yes, there is a glowing write-up in Eurogamer, which is what prompted me to pay for it on Android, Steve. And it is a game which combines golf, which, as we know, I love.
You do.
I love golf games.
But you haven't
pool.
You haven't bought a golf course for your backyard.
No. And pool, which I love, combines those things into a roguelike, which I love. Which uses cards, which I love, into one all-round package. Yeah, look, it had such a glowing write-up that I could only ever be slightly disappointed by it. And I think that it's a really, really lovely concept. So the idea is that you get a set number of shots to put to pot a set number of balls across procedurally generated holes with modifiers that you can choose, which unlock challenges, which means that every way you're playing it, you're always trying to complete the same objective, although in a different manner every time. So in that sense, it's very refreshing. I'm playing the mobile phone version, so I'm playing it on a smaller screen, so it's a little more cramped than I guess the Steam or Switch builds would be. But I found myself enjoying the concept, but slightly getting frustrated that I could not have as much control with the ball as I would like. So it's very friendly on the touch screen in that you you place the ball down if it's the first shot or if you've gone in off, and then the aim you touch and then you can drag around and it shows you a lot of information, and you can sort of move that around until you're ready. Then you double tap to fire, so you're not doing a lot accidentally. I couldn't for the life of me work out how to control the pool ball, though. There were some times I would like to hit a slower ball, or ideally do have the option of doing backspin, because the way that the courses or the tables are procedurally generated is that some of them have sort of dog leg bits here and there, and you want to know where the ball's being. So I was getting a little frustrated in that. Maybe I'm getting it wrong, but even though I was getting a little frustrated, I still fire it up every if I'm sat on the sofa and I want 5 minutes here and there. And so actually it's very satisfying in some respects. Look, it's much cheaper on Android. I think it's $4.99. It's slightly more than that on PC and Switch. I'm enjoying it mostly, but my frustrations have been that it's not more of a pool game than the name would imply. Still, a worthy 7 out of 10.
I started the week playing my game, which was released into not early access, but we released a tiny demo of it. You can find a link to that on the One Life Left Discord. It's called Beneath the Six, and then you can join our Discord and get a code for it. And it's early and it's broken. It's full of bugs. Some parts of it don't work at all. But it's hit that point in game development where it's not, I wouldn't describe it as good, but you can see bits of it that are good. And that's been a really important milestone for me, that now it's going to be good at some point. So that's been really good. And I'm thinking about it when I'm not playing it. I sort of want to go back to it. So that feels really good. However, I have been playing other people's games as well. As I promised, I played Cocoon. Do you know Cocoon?
You did do. Oh, yeah, I played it.
Cocoon is the game from the designer of Limbo, a game I didn't like, and Inside, a game I also didn't like. Well, Simon, imagine my surprise when this absolutely beautiful at least superficially smart game also left me completely cold and bored.
Yeah.
I pottered around inside it going, this is a game by that involves puzzles, a thing I like, and low poly aesthetics, a thing I like, and carefully plotted design, a thing I like, and that I just don't like. And I think there are a few different reasons. I think one, the setting, you are this little bug-like guy with wings wandering around this universe. I don't really, unlike Inside and Limbo, where it's very clear what you should care for and what you should be scared about, here it's all quite abstract. And basically you're just clicking on bits of the scenery until something interacts, and then you find an orb and you put that in places, and eventually you solve the puzzles. And none of it makes me feel a single thing except for maybe gently, oh, that was slightly pretty. Secondly, those puzzles, and this is billed as a puzzle game, are the same sort of puzzles we've seen in these things for literally decades. Oh, there's some symbols. Ooh, now there's some symbols on the floor. I know I'll hit those symbols in the order they are on the floor. Da-da-ding, something opened up. Now I see the same symbols, but I can't see the ones on the floor. Oh, they're written in the clouds. Da-da-ding. Oh, here's what amounts to a laser puzzle. Haven't seen that since the BBC Micro or whatever. It's not a puzzle game. A puzzle game to me is something like Baba Is You, or that one that I can never remember the name of, where you're wrapping strings around stuff in a sci-fi setting, that takes a single mechanic and really drills into it and tests you, or like The Witness, where it uses the same thing over and over again and then changes it slightly and changes it. Here you just get these slightly diverting escape room things that click on a few different things, and it never really challenges you. You just proceed through a universe that is pretty, yes, but ultimately leaves me tired and bored. And in the end, I just thought, why am I playing this? And stopped. 7 out of 10. And then... sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say, I could not agree with you more. I would be really interested to know if we stopped at the same point.
I beat a boss.
Yes.
And then found, another orb when you're going into other orbs and doing it. And I thought, I get it.
Yeah. Exactly the same.
Yeah.
I wonder if for me that was because I was playing it on Game Pass and I hadn't actually invested in it. I'd spent an hour or so on it, but I was exactly the same as you. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Okay, what?
People like it. It's got 1,200 overwhelmingly positive.
Yeah,
so good. But it's not for me or you, apparently. And also, Simon, I played Bang On Balls Chronicles, the worst name for a game in existence, and the more I think about it. And I played it and I hated it from the start. I hate the atmosphere, I hate the jokes. Saw a ball weeing, I hate it. I hate the setup, I hate these stupid balls with flags on that are a product of 4chan meme culture. I hate it. And yet, the game itself is so fluid and playful and fun that I found myself more absorbed in that than this beautiful, precious Cocoon that is designed for someone like me. But then something interesting happened, Simon. I was playing it and hating it, but also enjoying the mechanic. Really very, very playful thing. And then I started to feel ill. And then nauseous. And then I got to the Viking boss and I lost to it, and I hate bosses, so I was like, I'm never going to play it again. Stopped playing it and felt properly sick. 7 out of 10. A game's never done that to me. A game's never... And maybe it's the frame rate, maybe something else. But anyway, packed show today and super fun. Thank you for that, Simon.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, listeners. Thank you for the letters.
Yeah, thank you for that. So keep that up. We've all done well today. And let's hope we continue that next week. We'll be back then. Thank you to Resonance FM, as always, as well. But until next week,
goodbye.